Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
You know, in case you want to deep dive more into a specific topic, like, say, the Galactic War, where we have a playlist, the Galactic War, 55 videos are on that playlist. This is on Evolutionary. The Real Controllers, AI, Draco, Anunnaki, EGG, 154 videos there. So if you really want to go back into our past, but covering all the things that you see being reeled out in front of you at this point in time. We've been talking about this for over 7 years and in video form. I've actually been talking about this and annoying friends and family for my entire life, as is something that I always knew. So over on EE Arts, again, there's about 3 times as many people subscribe to Evolutionary as EE Arts. We kind of alternate between the channels. This was the backup channel, so to speak. It does have different playlists, like you have Giants and Cryptids. There's 45 videos there, Alien Species, 55 videos here. Anunnaki and EGG, 102 videos, Tartaria, Atlantis, Mu, Lemuria, 60 videos. So lots of information over there too. And then the newest channel is Heart's Home. Only 2.85 thousand subscribers there, so a lot of work to go to get that one up to where Evolutionary is. And again, unique videos over there, such as spiritual practice and ritual, channeled messages, 83 videos over there, exploring other densities, dimensions, 69 videos, understanding the cycles of the Yuga, 5 videos currently, 61 on Ascension, just so you know. Everything pretty much is up on Patreon. For the most part, we've been able to post to Patreon. It's using its own server. Like previous to about 18 months ago, we would have to link to other sites like YouTube or Rumble. But Patreon has its own server. So again, there's exclusive videos that are only up on Patreon too. And a lot of that is the channeled messages, the more recent channeled messages from the Galactic Federation. And again, we want to thank all of our Patreons. We couldn't do it without you guys. You can join us over there for just $1 a month or $10.80 currently for a year. When you pay for a year in advance, it does help us make these videos. This is Elon showing an aerial view of Los Angeles. And as you can see, looks like Los Angeles is a battleground. There's a lot going on. And, you got to wonder, what is all this leading to? It feels like it's leading to a very post-apocalyptic world, does it not? Look at this. This is horrible. Prayers go out to anybody that is in this situation right now. 2 men and a dog trapped in the Palisades fires as it surrounds their home. May everybody find their way to safety that is caught in this really dangerous situation.
Oh, this is nightmarish. This is awful. I don't know what happens at the end. I don't know if they made it or not. This is just scary.
Yeah, there's so much coming out right now. We really, it's a lot to keep up with. Unprecedented fires, multiple fires. Unprecedented. Scorch over 3,000 acres. That's constantly changing. 49,000 evacuated. That's probably an old number by now. It's just changing by the hour. It's just wild. Southern California, all the way down to the border, is really in a very, very precarious situation because, again, 0% containment. Extreme fire behavior. And you're having winds that we haven't seen in many years. You're having all sorts of chaos. $1 million houses. Well, California, I think the average house is very expensive. But Malibu, this is one of the wealthiest, affluent places on the entire planet, as concerned citizen says, being burnt to ashes. Have you ever seen anything like this before? Unfortunately, we have, but not on this scale, perhaps. And people are really feeling the echoes of Maui as we go. Now, this is, I think, a big reveal. There's a lot being revealed right now. As we said, we are in the Bronze Age. We got from our guides that We officially went into the Bronze Age with the eclipse, April 8th, 2024. We said goodbye to the Kali Yuga. That doesn't mean that the control system's just going to say, oh, okay, guys, sorry for all the troubles, we're out of here. No, they're never going to go, willingly. That's not their way. Again, this control system that is in place is the most egotistical, arrogant, self-centered, selfish, just in service to themselves and nobody else. So they're not going to capitulate with anything. Again, when you make agreements, and there are treaties that are in place, galactic treaties that are expiring from our information on the summer solstice of this year, 2025. I do feel with the expiration of those treaties, anything could happen. Timelines that we might have thought were written in stone, given to us in prophecy, could end up being completely obsolete, so to speak, because there is a bigger war going on here. What are we watching right there, right? What are we watching? We're watching a big reveal. This is like catching... This is like going to Vegas and all of a sudden a card drops out of the dealer's sleeve.
Right. I mean, this is just crazy, and there's a lot of this. There's so many things in the sky from people who are covering this, and there's no explanation for it. I mean, at a certain level, are we ever going to get the truth? Are we ever going to get the truth from those who are in the know? Absolutely not. This is something that they need to keep hush about where they are and how this is happening. This is just awful. It's awful. And it's at a level where it'll probably never be spoken about. And even if people do ask, hey, what are those things in the sky? It's just going to get ignored. This is the frustration of it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And at times I've been off in my interpretation of timings of these events, but in general, when it comes to the actual events, it's been what I've seen going back to the 1980s. As again, I will be in my 60th year this year, and I've always known this was a extraterrestrial and just advanced civilization, because some of these extraterrestrials have been here longer than Homo sapiens has been here. Again, if you want to dive deeper, then please do binge watch the playlists and go into it. There's such a wealth of information on those old videos from years ago, before this all happened. One of the original ones that I posted on these subjects is from 7 years ago, and it said we're going to have what looks like a alien invasion, followed by an invasion, a literal invasion of the U.S. I think that we're still in that time period. Again, with the galactic treaties expiring, things can definitely manifest differently. And also, the biggest thing is waking people up quickly to the fact that, this is manipulation of a very advanced nature. It's not necessarily just our militaries doing this, as you see this come out of the ocean and then coming across. It's not just our militaries, but our militaries work with militaries of other sorts that are not Homo sapiens. This is the reality. Yeah, there are ships that have our quote-unquote soldiers on it with grays, with what you would call a gray alien. Look at this there. This is pretty wild.
Fuck is that shit, bro?
Whoops. Now, this is why I'm always blocking that sound, because also, there'll be people that can swear and never get a problem, but because we are always about exposing the real control system, we'll get the problem and they'll remove the video, as they are still removing videos from 2018. I was just sharing that yesterday. So did you notice these, you got the strange lights in the sky, that thing that I don't know what you would say this is that pops up over here to the left. What is that doing? It almost looks like some sort of portal. Is it? What is that?
These are things that we're never going to get answers to.
They won't give us true official answers. Let's see, where is that? There. Kind of reminds me of those strange lights we've seen at CERN. Now, I want to point out, this has always been here, and it is documented in our history. The real controllers have shown their hand many times. And yet, again, anybody that points it out gets laughed at. You have this depiction, Great Chicago Fire, October 8th, 1871. 1871, the Banking Act of 1871. Albert Pike gave you his predictions for 3 world wars in 1871. 1871 was a key year in the control system. And you have a saucer firing a beam of light and the fire going. It wasn't Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicking a lantern like we're told. The real history is always, clouded and covered up and basically whitewashed. People have seen classic saucer-shaped ships, all sorts of ships in the sky, all throughout recorded history. And, they might have took them to be angels and demons. In reality, these things were part of the Galactic War in many cases that has been going on. It looks like Darth Vader's ship. This is Nuremberg. This is, if I remember right, 1561. There was also another case of a mass sighting 4 years later over in Switzerland, not too far from this location. What did they see? They saw basically orbs and drone type things apparently battling in the sky, shooting each other down, and some coming down smoking and crashing and blowing up, and what looks to be a gigantic mothership. This is a famous thing, Battle of Nuremberg, 1561. We're just seeing it again. There was a Battle of Los Angeles from back during World War II, early hours, February 25th, 1942. It's been sensationalized. It was what appeared to be, again, UFOs, UAPs, drones, and we were at war at that time. So we thought, oh my gosh, the Japanese are attacking us here directly in Los Angeles, and everything went crazy. But then they said, no, it wasn't the Japanese. So who was it? And then you have the working together of many different aspects of the control system. Did you know there was a lot of cancellations of homeowners' fire coverage policies by insurance companies only weeks before the Palisade fire? And, you have actor James Woods. I don't know if his house is still standing. He posted a photo yesterday of the fire right up at his backyard, and it was just said, out of here. Again, there's a lot of people sharing information that would let you to put 2 and 2 together. Yet you have to realize everything that we're using to communicate is really the control system's tools that they've given us. Water reservoirs in LA, pretty empty, people trapped, and what really is going on? It again feels like Maui all over. And whether we're talking, oh, sorry, you didn't have flood insurance up there in Asheville, we can't help you, or you don't have fire insurance, or, oh, we canceled your fire insurance. And, again, limitless money spent on warfare and death and destruction. It just shows you what the control system is. It is not a nice control system. No, and they don't serve the people. Yeah, too many similarities. People are catching on. That's the thing. When the masses know, when we hit that critical apex number of the majority getting it, then you'll have real change. It doesn't mean that the war will necessarily end, because this is a galactic war. You're only in one tiny little outpost of the bigger battle. Yet the Earth itself, the planet, is on the Ascension path. And really, we are going to split. We are going to have a reality split. Most people don't understand what reality even is, and haven't really even taken the time to put down the Cheetos, put down the soda pop, and do some meditation. And this is, not what's been cultivated by the system. They want just the opposite. They want, again, fluoridated water. In our case, lead. Lead being dispersed through the Roman citizens' water supply. Again, keep them dumbed down. That's the number one thing. Talk about J-Lo, Beyonce, Jay-Z, all these different people that are just nauseating, and focus on the things that the system pushes, which is not true spirituality, which is not true knowledge, which is all about keeping people, again, dumbed down and in the dark. But the earth itself is on the ascension path, and we can ascend with the earth. And all this can be exposed, and it will be exposed. It is being exposed for those that will pay attention.
Hi guys, so this is a quick one. I'm getting some unconfirmed reports of multiple sightings of UAP seen over Wales last night. And there has been a statement made by the 48th Fighter Wing on this issue. They have said there was no UAS activity in or around US military installations in the tri-base area last night. Aircraft from RAF Lakenheath were conducting routine night flying training sorties January 7th in and around the airspace over Wales. Obviously, as we know, Lakenheath is in East Anglia, but they have said that they've been conducting sorties and things over Welsh airspace. However, it doesn't detract from the amount of people that have reported seeing these things flying around all night last night in Wales.
And so, again, this is global too. And what a cover. A world war is a great cover. Because again, a world war, keeps you on your toes. There's a lot of things to be focused on, and maybe you won't, be focused on so much the fact that sometimes we see military aircraft with what looks to be flying saucers flying together.
Right, and they're showing this in open form. So now we've, what we've been talking about for so long, where there are extraterrestrial working with our military. This is becoming open form. It's becoming common knowledge. All we have is to just wait until mainstream news shows people the aliens coming out of these saucers. And then people will believe it. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be like that. People should understand and be able to see beyond the veil at this point. I get so frustrated when I look at these insurance companies and they just sort of, they make the rules as they go. It's like, oh, this isn't very convenient. Let's scratch this out and rewrite this so that it goes in our favor. I mean, do we ever really think that any one person could stand up and say, hey, that's not fair? No, because those that are at the top who are benefiting from this, they're not going to want their assets or their cushion to be dipped into. No, they like their assets. They like their cushion. So they're just going to keep doing as they're told, no matter how many people stand up and scream and yell at the top of their lungs. I tell you what, I get frustrated because it really feels like in so many ways that the cards are totally stacked against us, that some people have resources way beyond what they could ever need or use in this lifetime, and they just benefit themselves. And I watch so many really good people that are at the bottom trying to help each other, but they still can't because there's just not quite enough resources. When if you take all the resources, everyone could be very comfortable. Everyone could have what they needed if it were simply a fair playing field. But we're not there yet. We're going through the ugly part. We are in the Bronze Age. This is not going to be pretty. It's like discovering, oh gosh, I need to clean out my closet, and just know that everything is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. We have to get through it. This is why we are always pushing the spiritual practice, because even when you do get frustrated and you do feel like the cards are stacked against you, you can go into that place of a spiritual practice and rise up above that emotion and create a world for yourself that is going to benefit you. It does take some doing, but we're at a really I'm irritated anyway. This is a bad place.
Yeah, absolutely. These things are pretty wild, and so the suggestions come out that maybe these things were actually ospreys. Were they ospreys? Because they have such big. They don't look like ospreys. They look kind of like maybe 10 generations down. More advanced version, perhaps. Again, these things are huge too. They're gigantic. Meanwhile, Iran and Yemen formed a war coalition against Israel. Well, the bigger war, we know, BRICS. And that is, about to get hot. I think, again, 2025 is going to be where we see the Middle East really go up. And not just the Middle East, because, again, this is a global thing that's going on. You have so much CGI going on. You have so much AI going on. And you got so much that's really happening. So it gets very, very hard to discern. They will try to cover up. This is Boston, by the way, or it's being attributed to Boston. They will try to cover up and try to keep people in the dark as long as possible. But all you have to do is go back throughout history. Really look at your mythology and recognize, instead of saying gods and goddesses, just simply put in extraterrestrials, and then you have a much bigger, much clearer picture. And again, there are inner earth beings that have been here the whole time. There are beings that are living underneath the sea in what we might view as domed cities. Again, the oceans are barely even mapped when you get down to it. And then there's the fact that the Earth is actually 4 times larger than what we are told. And yes, when you get to Antarctica, you're really kind of getting to a gateway to lands that are we're not told about. And yet it is also an area that's blocked from us dimensionally. When you see these dark cube shapes, that's not a good thing. Yeah, absolutely not a good thing. You have all sorts of weird things going on. Again, a lot of it is going to be faked, but, there is a lot of real. And that's why, again, they will try to cover up the real with the fakes. And then you have people that, again, it's an Orson Welles scenario of War of the Worlds, which will absolutely make people panic and be terrified because their paradigm that they've been living with their entire life is shattered. And the reality is, it is a War of the Worlds. But as best as I could tell, the extraterrestrial, the alien invasion, the attack on Earth, in my mind, it at least in this era that we know of, started with the Younger Dryas extinction event, which again, in our current way of thinking, was about 12,000 years ago. There are, of course, natural cycles involved. The cycles of the Yuga are part of that. But what we do have here is also the use of technology, and technology and weaponry that is mind-blowing for so many people to to even really just basically delve into. It can be very uncomfortable, especially if you're coming from a very fundamentalist background. But, we see things that look like black goo in the sky taking shape and form. We definitely recognize that there's all sorts of X's in the sky and spraying going on. That's all been going on for so very, very long. And this was that famous, it looks just like the jellyfish, quote unquote, alien that was filmed over a U.S. military base in the Middle East. But this one was, I believe this was Los Angeles. This was captured on a Ring camera too. It almost looks like a little guy with a little laser holding on to. Yeah, gray aliens are very, very real, and the cattle mutilation thing is actually a big part of it. A big part of it is being used to have genetic material to make more gray aliens, which are basically just slaves to the control system. Why did China just cut the AT&T and Verizon undersea internet cables that run to Taiwan? So, when will China move on Taiwan? When will everything expand? Again, it looks like this year is the year that maybe the most challenging to get through. When we look at the quakes, this one in Wyoming I had highlighted because it's at, they changed it. Now they're saying it's negative 2.5. It was negative 3.4 kilometers depth, which means above the surface. So they've changed this. This area here, again, there's not much there. I was looking at it. The closest thing to this is what looks to be some sort of drilling, pumping operation. And again, what we have going on in this world is like when we talk about energy, we really don't need oil. We don't need what they call fossil fuels. That's a misnomer, though. It's not really fossil fuels. As you can see, there's something there. I think that they're drilling, and when we look to all the fracking that's gone on, that's just all ticking time bombs. By the way, the initial 3.4 kilometers negative above the surface would have put it in the sky. So this is at 6,400 feet elevation. They have adjusted it, but it still doesn't change the fact that it's another sign of the dishonesty that's going on in the control system. And all the fracking leaves us, when we do get the big quakes, it's going to make everything way more intense. And it is toxifying the water supply, which is another thing that leads to life expectancy decline, as well as cognitive abilities.
Yeah, and we got to be careful there because it could be medical misinformation. You know, if you touch on anything these days that is too truthful, Mike and I, we've been in the doghouse for quite a while. So if we even remotely mention the wrong thing, we get in trouble. We're special. We're special. But I mean, look at this ape and this little baby. I mean, he is just admiring his daddy, and his daddy is admiring him back. So when you find yourself in a pickle in this life, you find yourself in a really bad mood, bad situation, admire Mother Nature. Admire Mother Nature. When you send that energy out into the world, it's going to come back and it's going to give you some therapy. So that's something that helps me. And we are definitely in a time where we need that ability to step aside and change our vibration. And that's one way that you can do that. And it's quick and it's easy and it's definitely worth it.
Absolutely. As always, guys, we appreciate your supports. Look forward to your comments. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.